Hello. Dumelang. Today we are going to talk about selling. And if you look at my caption, you can see I'm saying there's no shame in selling, but there's definitely shame if you remain in poverty but you don't want to sell anything. People have got this thing of saying batho ba tla reng if they sell, and therefore in most instances they will rather be in poverty, not having food on their table, going to bed hungry, just because they believe that it's a shame to be seen selling something. I'll make just an example. For instance, let's take a simple example for somebody who's selling tomatoes in a street corner. If that person can sell a bag of tomatoes for a day, they will be able to go and buy bread. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to take Albany bread, which is the bread that I'm normally buying. I think it's about 13 rand or 14 rand at a garage. I normally buy it at a garage, so I'm not sure exactly how much is it at a supermarket. And in most instances, if you have to buy that bread, it means you will have to pop out 14 rand. So if you sell a box of tomato, then you'll be able to buy that bread from the garage, and your family will not go to bed hungry. But it will only be because you have taken a step to go and sell those tomatoes on a corner, on a street corner, and therefore you will be able to buy bread for your family, so that your family doesn't go to bed hungry. People will always talk. There are people who never get tired of talking. They can talk about this and that, and they are never satisfied with anything. Whether you do good or bad, they will always talk. Like, for instance, if you are ugly, they will say you are ugly. If you are beautiful, they'll still complain. If you are beautiful, they will still complain. So people will always talk. So therefore, for me, it's not important whether people will talk or not. What is important is that you need to make sure that your family is well taken care of. And in some instances, the only way that your family can be taken care of is if you decide that I'm going to sell something. I'm going to narrate a story about my mother. From an early age, I decided that my role model is going to be my mother. I've never, as much as there are celebrities that I like, I have decided that the only person who's going to be my role model is my mother. If there is no way that you can, my mother is a phenomenal woman. There is no way that you can meet my mother and you can live without having without her having a positive impact on your life. That woman has contributed a lot in terms of my upbringing and everything that I've achieved so far. So I'm going to narrate a story about her journey with regards to selling. When my mother started working, at some stage my father used to work in a farm. And my mother was a domestic worker in that farm also. And what used to happen is that my father will transport, he was a driver, and he was driving trucks. He would transport cattle to what used to be called Zuidwest Africa, which is now referred to as Namibia. He used to go there to Windhoek to go and deliver those cattle for his bus. And therefore my mother used to also go with him. But then I think in the early 80s, my mother got a job as a cleaner in a government department. For those of you who know Mafikeng, she used to work at that place where I think it's mostly Department of Justice, which is next to where the ministers used to stay. And therefore, I think my mother's bosses were more like me. I like to talk to the cleaners in the morning. When they come to my office and they clean my office, I'll chat with them and ask them about their family, about their work and things like that. So I believe that my mother's bosses were also like that. And that's how she managed to end up being able to sell to them. When my mother started selling, she was selling underwear, which was your petticoat. Some of those people who were born in the 90s and the 2000s may not know what a petticoat is. They may not have seen it. But you can go and Google it and see what a petticoat looks like. And she used to sell your bras, panties, and things like that. And as and when she was making more money from selling those things, she then moved on to selling your duvet sets. And later on, when comforter sets were introduced, then she started selling that. Because my mother was such is such a wonderful person, an intelligent person. I don't know where did she get the idea that she needed to now venture into machonisa business. Because then she started borrow from the money that she made from selling of duvet covers and comforters. She then moved on to lending money to her colleagues, the very same people who were working in the office. She then gave them the money, and then they will pay it back with interest. I think at that time it was about 20%, and it was during those times when we didn't have the loan sharks. It was still in the beginning when it was not even regulated at the time. Then she started that business, and she made lots and lots of money from that business. I remember every month when it was month end, all those people from the office will come to our house, and they will come and pay back whatever that was owing, and then they will also take money again and repay the following month. And that's how my mother made a lot of money in terms of making sure that she was able to, with that money that she got from the machonisa, she was able to have money to build a shop, which was a grocery shop, which was selling groceries. And then later on, when they wanted to venture into the taxi business, they were able to buy a taxi at that time. I think it was I can't remember. It was a Volkswagen. I can't remember the name of the model, but it was a Volkswagen. They were able to buy that taxi cash without involving the banks. And although it was not new, and as the business grew, they were able to then get more taxis by getting a loan from the bank based on the credit record that she built from the business that she was running, which was a mashonisa business. So therefore, I learned from a very early age that there's no shame in selling, because with the money that my mother made from selling, she was able to take us to through school, and with that money, I was able to be put through university without having to get a loan or anything like that. Apparently, during those times when I was in university, there was TEFSAS, but I was not aware that TESFAS was borrowing money to people so that they can be able to go through university. But because of selling, my mother was able to put me through university without having to go through the bank and making a loan. And therefore, if you are sitting somewhere and thinking that there's shame in selling, then you are wrong. Because I've seen it with my own eyes that if you decide that you want to sell, you can go far. And therefore, it's important that wherever you are sitting at this moment in time, if you do not have a job, or even if you have a job, think about selling something. In actual fact, what you can do is, after this, you can inbox me. I'm currently selling products that sell like fat cakes. So therefore, if you want to get started, you can just send me an inbox, and then we can get you started with this business. There's no shame in selling, as I've indicated, but there's definitely shame in staying in poverty and not doing anything about it. People will always talk. Don't listen to people who will say negative things about you, because people will still talk. When you are hungry, they will still talk and say that you are lazy, and say all sorts of things. They will even laugh behind your back, because you'll go begging and begging for food and other things from them. So therefore, just swallow your pride and think about selling something. And I'm saying to you, inbox me, and then we can get you started. I think I hope you have learned something from this, in terms of my mother's journey, in terms of selling. By the way, my mother, the reason why she was a domestic worker and then a cleaner, is because initially she had only gone up to what was referred to as standard 6. But when I say that my mother is a phenomenal woman, it's because while she was busy selling, she also made time to go to school. She used to go to night school. I remember, if you know Mafikeng very well, there's a school called Kebalipile. That's where they used to go for night school. And she went there every day to go, and during the day she was selling, and then at night she'll go to school. And eventually she got her junior certificate, which was referred to as JC. And eventually she was promoted at work to be to go and mend the switchboard. So by the time my mother took early retirement, by the way, she even managed to take early retirement at age 55, because of selling. So by the time she went on retirement, she was no longer a cleaner, but she was mending the switchboard, and that's because my mother is just something else. If you can meet her, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Ask anybody who has ever met my mother what kind of a person she is. I'm very, very proud of her, and that's why I call her my role model. Thank you very much for listening to me.